everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be bringing you my December wrap up. Now the month of December was kind of a weird reading month. I was in a big reading slump at the beginning of the month, and then towards the end of the month I was still kind of in a slump, and then I got out of it, and then I frantically tried to finish enough things at the end of the month so that I could hit 150 books. I'm really sad to say that I was not able to hit that mark. I got up to 149 books for the year 2019, and I was trying to finish my last book and wound up getting about 80% of the way through and just could not stay awake any longer. So unfortunately, didn't quite hit that mark, but that's okay. I was way beyond my Goodreads goal. Be looking out in the next few days. I'm going to be posting a video talking about every single book that I read in the year of 2019. That's going to be up in a few days on my channel, so keep your eyes peeled. But today, we're going to be talking about all the books that I completed in the month of December. Now, a couple of things before we actually start the video. First of all, I wanted to say hello to all of the new subscribers that I've gotten. My 2020 reading goals video randomly blew up for some reason, and it has brought a lot of new people to my channel. So if you haven't seen me officially yet, hi, thank you for joining this little corner of the internet. I do also really quickly want to do a shameless plug. I am about to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram, and I really want to do either a giveaway or a Q&A over on Instagram once I hit 1,000. So I know that I've gotten a lot of new followers on YouTube, and thank you guys so much for coming over and subscribing. But if you have not followed me on Instagram yet, the link is down in the description in every single one of my videos. Please go over there and give me a follow so that I can hit 1,000 and celebrate. And second, as per usual, I have posted a mid-December wrap-up that talks about the books that I read in the first half of the month. So if you have not seen that yet, I will leave a card up above, but I am going to go ahead and very quickly just tell you the names of the books that I read and the ratings that I gave them. So if you want to hear a more in-depth description of what I thought about those books, go check out my mid-December wrap-up. So before we get into the video, if you're new here and you're not already, be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I finished in the month of December was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I completed Frankly in Love by David Yoon, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. And The Diviners by Libba Bray, which was a reread for me, and I also gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So then I ended up completing Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I did this one as a buddy read with my friend Kirsty. It took us both a lot longer than we thought it was going to read this one, but we did both eventually get through it. So this book is a YA literary fiction that centers around this family in the 1970s, and the first sentence of this book pretty much explains what it's about. It says, Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So we are essentially following this family, and we get to learn about Lydia, who is the daughter, and her siblings and her parents, and kind of the backstory of how they got to where they are and how Lydia winds up dead at the end of the novel. Now, this is definitely like really hardcore literary fiction. It is definitely a character study and a family study. So if you need a plot to propel you through a story, I do not think this is going to be the book for you. It is very character driven, and I feel like you also need to be in the mood for that kind of story to really appreciate this. And I don't know if I read it at exactly the right time, which may have been why I didn't quite enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Celeste Ng's second novel, Little Fires Everywhere. But I did enjoy this novel. I feel like the characters had a real depth to them, and it was really interesting to get to learn about every character, their backstory, and how they got to where we are today, and how it all kind of came together. Celeste Ng's writing style is very unique and distinctive, and I really appreciated it and enjoyed it throughout the novel. But like I said, if I had to pick between her two novels, I would definitely prefer Little Fires Everywhere. I believe that I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. But if you haven't read this one yet and you are looking for some good YA literary fiction, this is definitely one that I would recommend. I wound up giving Everything I Never Told You a 4 out of 5 stars. And then at the end of the month of December, I participated in a readathon with the Weeby Book and Book Club, and I participated in the Readers of the Last Arc readathon, and essentially it was just 2 read arcs, and I only ended up completing 1 book for the readathon, but that was more than I expected to, so we did well. So the book that I completed for the readathon was Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen, and this one is set to release on January 7th. And I received an e-arc of this novel from HarperCollins and Epic Reads. So this novel follows our main character, 18-year-old Ever, and she has grown up in Ohio, but her parents are very traditional Taiwanese, and they are putting all of their hopes and dreams onto her, constantly telling her about how much they have sacrificed to be able to get her the life that she deserves and where she wants to be in her life. And they really want want Ever to go to medical school and become a doctor. But that is not what Ever wants. Ever is very, very passionate about dance, and her parents are not okay with this. So they wind up sending her to Taiwan for the summer after her senior year of high school before she goes off to college, and this is supposed to be a program where all the best of the best Taiwanese kids come together from all over the world to study Mandarin and become the overachieving kids that they are. But in reality, this camp has been dubbed Love Boat, and all the kids just basically throw a wild party before they have to go away to college, and it's a whole summer full of drinking and boys and chaos. So Ever takes it upon herself while she is at Love Boat for the summer to essentially break all of the rules that her parents have set for her. Now, overall, I really enjoyed this novel. This is a debut from this author, and I feel like it was done really well. There are definitely a lot of really rich cultural aspects in this novel, which I really appreciated, and I think that the author did a really nice job of painting the scene of Taiwan. I've never visited Taiwan. I would love to go, but I feel like the author really did a very nice job of integrating all of the culture and the atmosphere. There is definitely a lot of commentary in this novel about racism and racial stereotypes and the way that your parents can influence you whenever you're going into college and trying to find your own way for yourself while still respecting your parents' wishes. There is a lot of discussion about that in here, about how you find that balance, and I feel like it was done really well. Now, I will say there is a little bit of a love triangle in this novel that I did not really care for. I don't feel like it was exactly necessary, and I wasn't completely convinced, but the rest of the story I did really enjoy. I do also know that on Goodreads it is listed that there's going to be a sequel to this novel, but I do not feel like it really needs a sequel. I feel like it ended in a really nice place, and I have no idea what the sequel is going to be about, if it's going to be a spin-off, companion, what it's going to be, but this book on its own I did really enjoy. I wound up giving Love Boat Taipei a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I completed Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, which is the second book in the Diviner series. This was a reread for me, and I listened to it on audiobook just like I did the first time. Now, like I said, this is the second book in the Diviner series, so we continue the main storyline from the first Diviner's novel, but we also get a little bit of look into characters who can dream walk. I have talked about the Diviners so many times on my channel, and I've made an entire video dedicated to the Libba Bray's novels, so I've talked a lot about it. There's not a whole lot more that I can say, but I will say the first time that I read this novel, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I found that I had a little bit of the second book syndrome, and maybe it's just because I really am adoring this series, and I've just grown to love it more and more as I think back on it, but I really enjoyed this novel this time around. More characters are introduced, and we get to watch some relationships blossom between some characters, which I was really excited about. One character that I particularly love in this novel is Theta. We get to hear a little bit more of her backstory and learn a little bit more about her, which I loved. I love her character throughout these novels, and just in general, this is one of the best series that I have ever read. I will rant about it until the day that I die. Very satisfied with this one, and I wound up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars on the reread. Next, I listened to The Year of Less by Kate Flanders. And this book has a really long subtitle, so I'm just gonna read it to you, but it's called The Year of Less: How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in a Store. So essentially, Kate Flanders is a blogger. She has gone on these life transformation journeys a couple different times. She got herself out of $30,000 worth of consumer debt. She lost a whole bunch of weight. I'm not sure the exact pound, but she lost a lot of weight, and she brought herself back from the brink of alcoholism. So she has done quite a few different life transformations, and even after transforming her life in all of these different wonderful ways, she realized that she still wasn't completely happy, and a lot of what she was doing was consumerism and buying a lot of things she didn't exactly need. So she put herself on a shopping ban for a year, and this book talks about how she made it through that year. Now, the title of this book is really misleading. It makes it sound like she is going to be talking about the tips and tricks that got her through a year in spending less, essentially buying nothing that was unnecessary, and talking about how that impacted her life over this year, how, you know, she ran into some different things that maybe made it difficult, yada yada. And that is what it does to an extent, but honestly, if you want tips and tricks about how to stop buying things that you don't need and save money and really evaluate your purchasing choices, there is a guide in the last 20 minutes of this audiobook, so I would bet probably the last 15 or 20 pages of the physical book, there is a guide with tips and tricks on how to, you know, bring minimalism into your life, and that's all that you really need out of this novel. Because the rest of it is just a memoir talking about the different aspects of her life and what happened throughout the year, and oh, here's a little bit about how I wasn't spending money during this time. Now, if you are already a fan of Kate Flanders, you may enjoy that aspect of this novel. I personally have never heard of her before I read this book, and I don't know the name of her blog or anything, but if you are already a loyal reader of her blog and you want to know more about her backstory, then yeah, you might enjoy this novel. But a lot of this is just recapping her life and going off on these random tangents about how she stopped drinking, how she pulled herself out of debt, how she lost all this weight, and blah, blah, blah. And just a little bit about, oh, I wasn't spending, oh, this and this, oh, this and this. And it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be the story of a person who put herself on a shopping ban to evaluate bringing minimalism into her life and how it impacted her. But like I said, this was just mainly a memoir and I really didn't care. I found myself zoning out during a lot of the audiobook. And if you really want tips on minimalism, listen to the last 20 minutes of the audiobook and you'll be fine. So overall, I gave My Year of Bliss 2 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and this is a short story from the author of Gone Girl. Since this is a short story, I'm not going to tell you anything about the plot because I can't really say anything without giving everything away, but just know that it's kind of creepy, mysterious, maybe a little paranormal, everything that you would probably expect from Gillian Flynn. Now, I had heard a lot of good things about this short story, but I was a little bit skeptical because I'm not the biggest fan of short stories in general. I don't read anthologies or anything like that because I find that I can never get connected. Every time that I start to get invested in a story, it's over. So I was really skeptical of this one, but I did enjoy Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn earlier this year, so I thought that I would give this one a go. Plus, it was really short. I was trying to hit that 150 book mark, but overall, I did really enjoy this one. I was pleasantly surprised. I listened to it on audiobook. It literally took me about 30 minutes to listen to, and that was all. But this one definitely kept me on the edge of my seat. It was creepy. It was unreliable. I never knew who to trust. And that's something that I really enjoy in my creepy, like mystery thriller type of reads. So in general, if you are at all interested in this, or if you enjoyed anything by Gillian Flynn in the past, I would say to go ahead and give this one a go. It is super short. I believe the print version is only about 60 pages. So if you read it and you don't end up liking it, you didn't waste a lot of your time, but it is definitely intriguing. And like I said, if you enjoy creepy, spooky books, or if you've enjoyed Gillian Flynn before, I think that you should give this one a go. I wound up giving The Grown Up a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I completed in the month of December and the last book that I completed in the year 2019 was Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Now this book follows our main character Justice, and he has grown up in a pretty rough neighborhood. He's had a pretty tough childhood, and he is looking to make a better life for himself and leave all of that behind. He wants to get into an Ivy League school and really make a name for himself, but he is finding it hard to escape the harshness and the racial injustices that have surrounded him his entire life. And throughout the novel, Justice is writing letters to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., essentially talking about the injustices that Justice is facing in his everyday life versus how Dr. King may have faced that, or it's really kind of like just journal entries talking to Dr. King. And the synopsis does say a little bit more than that, but I don't want to say anything else because the next part of the synopsis talks about something that I considered a plot twist because I didn't know was going to happen, and it doesn't happen until the middle of the novel, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, this is another one that was super, super fast. Now, I listened to it on audiobook and I increased the speed and finished it in about 2 hours. Super, super fast, but this book was really, really impactful. It's definitely up there with novels like The Hate U Give. I will say that I enjoyed The Hate U Give a little bit more than this one, but this is definitely still one that is incredibly important, brings up a lot of difficult but important issues that we need to discuss. And this one is really, really fast, and I feel like it's a really nice introduction into social justice novels. I really did appreciate how this novel balanced the really hard things that we're talking about with typical teenage things. Justice is concerned about getting into college. He likes a girl and they have a little relationship throughout the novel. So those things did a really nice job of balancing out some of these really hard racial issues that we're discussing. And I thought that Nick Stone did a really nice job of that balance. So again, this is one that if you have never read these social justice kinds of books before, or if you want an introduction into race relations in America, I feel like this one would be a really, really good choice. It's really short. I feel like Justice is a character that everybody can relate to, and it is definitely impactful. I wound up giving Dear Martin a 4 out of 5 stars. So that is it for my December wrap up, and that is the last of the books that I have read in 2019. Be looking out in the early parts of January. I'm going to be giving you a whole stats video of every single book that I read in the year of 2019, and I'm also going to be coming out with my favorites of the year. So keep your eyes peeled for those in the coming weeks. And if you have read any of the books that I talked about today, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought, and let me know your favorite book of December. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to go give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!